In Mexico, it is very common to ask for the check by making a sign in the air with your hand, imitating your signature from afar to avoid the waiter coming to the table and avoid talking. When I wanted to ask for the check in France and Belgium in the same way, they didn't understand me and they want to take me to the bar.
In the Latin culture, people are usually greeted in a more effective and emotional way, including a hug and kiss. When we arrived to summer program at the time of wearing to greet mainly a woman who has not Latin in this way, she reacted in a strange way and immediately blocked me because with my way of greeting she felt uncomfortable.
In Mexico, we are used to see the people at the eyes when we're having a conversation. And in this course, I have an approach with a Chinese guy. We're talking about the university, and I see him to his eyes, but I felt that I was bothering him because he started to looking away from me.
We were talking with a guy from Argentina about the gastronomic difference that exists in our countries. I talked about the cajeta, which is a milk caramel, and he got annoyed because in his country the cajeta is a word that used to refer to the female reproductive organ.
We went to eat, and in the group there was a girl from Australia. When we were leaving, she forgot her sunglasses, and when she realized that, she asked where her sunnies were. At first, I didn't understand what she was talking about, but later they explained to me that in Australia they use the word sunnies to refer to her sunglasses.
When I was in London, I was having a cigar, and in that moment, a dude came with me and asked me for a fag. I didn't understand the term. I asked to a friend, and he neither know what it meant. So then I investigate, and it means a cigar.
I have always had the stereotype that the French drink wine all the time. However, when I arrived here, I realized that this is not true in its entirety. On the contrary, from what I have seen, they drink a lot of beer, or some people don't drink alcohol, which impressed me.
We had the stereotype that the French have a bad odor. When we arrived in Lille in a restaurant, we knew some French women, with whom after dinner we went to a bar and without being disrespectful, when we talked with them in the bar we could see that this stereotype is true, although not all apply.
There was a stereotype for the French people that I had, that French doesn't speak English. But here in Lille, I didn't have the experience. The people are so nice, and it was the contrary. They tried to understand me and get into accordance when I was in a shop or something that I was to communicate.
It is believed that the stereotype of a French is with a striped shirt, a beret, and his taste for wine. Despite this, in the time we have been in Lille, we have not been able to find people with these characteristics. The closest we have seen is that they dress in a more elegant way, but without the typical hat.
So many cartoons on TV depict French people walking their fancily shaved poodles along the streets of Paris. Although there are a lot of people who walk their dogs along the streets, I actually have not seen one poodle in my stay in Lille so far.
In Australia, we use a comma to indicate the difference between thousands and hundreds. This is quite different to France, where the comma is used to break up euros and cents. I must admit, when I first saw a receipt, I thought I would have to pay 15,000 euros for my meal, instead of the 15 euros it actually was. A couple of days into my stay at Lille, I found the need to go and grab some more groceries. Little did I know that this was going to be a bigger issue than I had initially thought, as most cities in France, even those that I would consider large, close their supermarkets on Sundays. Quite different to what I'm used to. When learning a language, it can be difficult to completely grasp every word. Whilst learning French, I also found there are sentence structure differences. In English, saying I am 21 years old does not directly translate to French. Rather, it would be I have 21 years.
In Australia, we drive on the left side of the road. After arriving in France, I found myself looking in the wrong direction when crossing the road, which can be a bit dangerous. This is similar to a time where I started looking to the right to see if a bus was coming, and shortly after this, I realized that I was looking the wrong way. Usually in Australia and other countries I've been to, toilets are separated by gender. However, most toilets in France are often mixed for both genders, so I found it quite odd when I'd walk into a bathroom and see urinals right in front of me, as it's something I'm not used to back home. I have not yet encountered an issue where I've needed to use the same restroom as a man, but I'm not looking forward to it. While being in France, I would have expected that when this man changes to green, that there would be a noise accompanying this change. However, this is not the case while I've been in France. At times, I would be looking down without noticing that this man has changed to green because there's no noise indicating this, like in Australia.
When I first visited Europe, I was admittedly a bit confused by the numbering of the levels of the buildings here. In the Philippines, we have a ground floor, and the floor above that is the second floor. Here in France, the ground floor is different from the first floor, so before, when there was no elevator in a building, I would almost always get off the stairs on the wrong floor. Last week, a classmate asked if I had a pen or something. I honestly forgot what she asked. Anyway, instead of saying no, I put my hands up and shook them to mean none, which she did not understand. She just repeated her question, so then I replied verbally that time. I guess what I did is a Filipino thing. Where I'm from, we use our lips to point to something or to say over there. I've done it a few times here in France and no one understands me. I just feel so rude when I use my fingers to point towards something because someone might mistakenly think I'm pointing at them.